Thank you so much, Will. We did really appreciate having you here this morning. Next speaker on our docket, Mike is joining us from the Cherokee County Association of Realtors. To give us a quick.
Are there any realtors here?
Quick 15-minute primer on the state of the market going into quarter three.
Great, thank you. First, I'd like to say, all of our communities were shocked yesterday, and I'd like to say just a quick prayer that we provide solutions and support so this never happens again for our neighbors, Barrow County. I feel like I'm in church listening to preachers that I love for the first two speakers because I've been in real estate for 43 years. I started in Hawaii. I sold real estate there for 25 years and moved here 17 years ago. In Hawaii, 65% of the housing units are built on lots currently less than 3,000 square feet for the lot. And so they're building, or they're condominiums or townhouses. So when we were selling in Hawaii, my wife Donna's right here, 2/3 of our business was condos or townhouses. And so we're very used to this idea, including leasehold land, which is what you were talking about. There were a lot of challenges. I'd love to chat with you offline about how to solve some of those challenges. But I've been honored this year to be president of the Cherokee Association of Realtors. For those of you that saw me in March at the Cherokee Symposium, some of the slides are going to look very similar, and I'll go through them quickly because I have 15 minutes. Cherokee County, we have 421 square land miles. You can see the population. By the way, if you ask me, I have my email at the end of this. I will send you all my charts and statistics because I am the true nerd. I like numbers. We haven't had numbers before today. And if we look at slow growth, in 2053, we're going to add another 133,000 people. If we continue at the growth that we've been seeing for the last 20 years, we're going to be adding 283,000 people at 2.75 people per household. That means we're going to need somewhere between 50 and 110,000 new housing units over the next 30 years, which equates to 1,600 or 3,100 per year. Just to put that in perspective, Bridge Mill, a fairly small development in Canton, has 2,820 homes. So just imagine putting a bridge mill and a half into Cherokee County every year for the next 30 years. Okay? Real numbers, real thoughts there. Those of us that live in Bridge Mill love Bridge Mill. I don't live there, but it's the current hot neighborhood right now in Cherokee County. So median price appreciation, it's gone in 2011 from about 150,000 on up to 485,000 over the last 13 or 14 years. So it's not that the house that you bought in 2011 at 150 is now worth 485. What happened is the developers have started building bigger, nicer houses than what were generally available in 2011. Putting this into a different format, that's what our prices have done over the last 13 years. In Cherokee County, which includes the 6 cities, our median sales price, when I did this the 3rd of September, and I used FMLS, our first MLS data, which changes because we had holidays, and if you looked at it today, the figures might be a little different, but substantially the same. If we look at Ball Ground, median price of $424 compared to $422 last year. Canton, $569 compared to $515. Holly Springs gets thrown into Canton usually. Nelson has very few sales. Waleska was $490 versus $412, and Woodstock was $455 versus $435. So even with the high interest rates that started last year, what we've still seen is continued housing price appreciation. What's causing it? Lack of supply, buyer demand. My wife always says it all comes down to supply and demand, supply and demand. What we're building, which is sort of interesting, if we look at the active listings, the median price is $579, almost $100,000 higher than what the median sales price has been. So what we're still building is a lot of big houses. In fact, we have 820 detached homes for sale and 130 of them, or 16%, are asking over $1 million within Cherokee County. When we moved here 7 years ago to Holly Springs, we would have never guessed that 1 out of every 5 or 6 houses was going to be over $1 million. Active under contract, we have 2 different statuses, but basically we have 300 or 470. If the average home takes 6 weeks to close, you can look at these statistics and say, what's the median price is $532, and active under contract $475. When you add them up, the median price is going to continue to rise for at least the next 2 months. So pretty interesting statistics. In closed statistics, we had 325. The number's a little different than the previous chart because parts of Ackworth are Cherokee County and parts of Alpharetta are Cherokee County, and it's just the way our zoning has worked out. So here's the big question: affordable housing right now. And again, Will, I loved everything you said. Is we have 23 homes in Cherokee County that are priced at $300,000 or below. Of those 23, 3 are modular homes, which are completely different. I think they're great. First house I bought in Hawaii was an 890 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath townhouse. And it was wonderful. Just out of college, living in my own place, I was thrilled to be in it. 11 are self-identified as fixer-uppers in the multiple MLS. And if you know most real estate agents, we tend to be optimistic. So when we say it's a fixer-upper, it means be careful walking on the deck or bring an umbrella inside because the roof leaks. So those are self-identified. 7 were attached. Again, nothing wrong with a townhouse or a condominium. And 2 were what I would consider move-in ready. And both of those were below 1,100 square feet in total. And they're probably sold by today. For rent, we have seen in our county a lot of build-to-rent communities. They have not lowered the rental price. They don't advertise, but I called a couple of them on the last 2 days, and they're right in line. We have 82 single-family homes available for rent at an average median price of $2,700 per month. We've had 184 rent in the last 2 months. I think I did 60 days at a median rental price of $2,400. The active attached homes, we have 46, average price $2,348. There's not a whole lot of difference between what you can get for a townhouse versus a single family house in our current rental market. So the build to rent is a much smaller percentage than the press lets you think about. The press has it out all the time that the build to rent are the horrible bad guys that are causing prices to go up and stealing wealth from everybody. They're really like 1% of the market. So they're a factor, but not a huge factor. So what does it take to buy a home in Cherokee County? Assuming we have a $495 sales price with 10% down payment, $49,500, and add another $8,500 for the closing costs. You know, borrowing at $445,500, there's an extra zero there, sorry. At a 6.35% interest rate and a 30-year mortgage, principal and interest is $2,772. Your taxes are going to be about $425, and some counties or some cities are raising their property taxes another $30 or $40 a month. The HOA dues, just assuming you have one, $50 a month. And homeowners insurance about $190 a month for a $500,000 house. Your total monthly payment is $3,437. If you're a teacher making $54,700 or roughly $4,500 a month, it's real hard to afford $3,500 for the house without utilities or even 2 teachers, 2 firefighters, 2 police officers, etc. So to qualify with no other debts, so assuming that these people have gotten through college or gotten to be 23, 27, they have no car debt, they have no student loans, they have no long-term credit card debt, means at a 40% debt to income ratio, and most of our lenders like 36 to 41%, means they need to earn $103,000 yearly. Each $1,000 in debt means they need to earn $30,000 a year more. So if they pay $1,000 a month for 2 car payments, they now need to earn $133,000 to survive. And the 2022 Cherokee County median income was $99,932. So what's out there, what's selling, is not affordable by the average family in Cherokee County right now, which is why we need to come up with solutions and different solutions and thinking outside of the box that we may have grown up with if you grew up here in Georgia. If you grew up in Hawaii, you were used to not at all uncommon for people to put an ADU and let their adult children move into it or build a second story on the house. In my neighborhood that we raised our 5 children in, which is why we moved to Georgia from Hawaii, because they couldn't afford houses there. Not at all uncommon to add a second story, another apartment on the house, or what we call Ohana units rather than ADU units in Hawaii. So, you know, for people that are saying, well, they just need to work harder, the young people. When I bought my first house, it was $78,000 and the median income in Hawaii was $41,000. So I had about a 2-to-1 income ratio to buy a house. Today, if you look at this, and again, you can't see the small chart, but if you email me, we'll get it to you. The housing gap, median income in Cherokee County, roughly $100,000. Price of the house is $500,000. It's 5-to-1 instead of 2-to-1. So it is harder for young people or people buying their first house to get started. You put that with what happened in 2006 to 2011 with prices dropping. People were afraid to buy. We are coming close to having a generation that's going to lose out on the opportunity to build wealth for their families. A lot of them have come back into the market now because they said, crap, look what's happened with the housing prices in the last 3 years ago. In fact, in this room, how many of you wish you had bought more real estate 4 years ago? Okay, we all do, because it's been the best generator of wealth, as Mr. Caldwell had said earlier. Interest rates, people giving up, people just tired of trying to find a house and there's nothing out there, are giving up. The USA Today article in July, we had a 2-decade low in terms of number of houses under contract. The median sales price across the United States was $422,000, and 86% of Americans had a mortgage rate below 6%. 50% of Americans that have a mortgage have an interest rate below 4%. Okay? So they're not moving with the high interest rates, which is going to cause the 11-year figure for the average turnover to continue to increase. We need to create new supply. So never one to bring up issues without some solutions. There is no one solution. There's going to be lots of little solutions. The biggest one is if you have the wherewithal to help an adult child or grandchild buy a house, help them buy the house. They need to help like never before because of that 5-to-1 income ratio. Help your children, help your grandchildren, help your nieces and nephew buy a house. There's a realtor in the room, they'll help you. Just raise your hand if you guys you need a good real estate agent. ADUs will play a part. I believe Canton has their first ADU actually permitted and being built right now. So they have a program the city of Canton is working. Reserve attainable homes and new projects may play a part where you're building a 1,500 square foot home in a development that has 3,000 square foot homes to have a certain percentage of them be affordable or attainable. High density must inevitably play a part. And the term I learned, and I'll talk about it in just a second, is light touch density. See next slide. Create workforce housing through less regulation, cost in specific areas to build attainable homes. Community land trust, long-term leases may be a solution. Down payment assistance, I'm going to show you that on my next slide. Education of homeowning boomers to assist their children in buying will play a part. Allowing for less cost of regulation. Prefabbed homes, maybe. I saw a presentation, Mayor Caldwell, you were there. These prefab homes they're building now are not the single wide trailer some of you may have grown up in. Okay, they're interesting, they're really nice. The one thing we know won't work is just putting our head in the sand and saying, we don't need to do anything, it's all going to be fine. It's not going to be. It's going to continue. In Hawaii, what we saw is the median price of a home in Hawaii is now $1.2 million. And that's for a home built probably in the 60s, single wall construction, no basement, no attic, no heating, no cooling, average size about 1,800 square feet. So what we will have is the people that can afford a house and people that can afford to own rentals in lower class, no middle class whatsoever. It's a scary thought. I first heard the term long-term density at the recent Council for Quality Growth intersection meeting. Who else was there besides a bunch of us? Where I know Brantley Day was there. Brantley gave me a great statistic because I love numbers. Each home in a neighborhood has an average of 10 vehicles a day servicing it. A lot of them being the Amazon and UPS trucks coming, and you have people coming, but 10 visits a day on the roads in any neighborhood, which is not something I think the city planners planned for 20 years ago. So the cost of roads and maintenance of roads has gone way up, and it's much more expensive than you might think it is. But light touch density, and there's 3 articles there. Again, you don't need to copy it if you want to think. It talks a lot about exactly what Will was talking about. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but you can put in a 4-plex next to a duplex, next to a single family house, and have them look wonderful, virtually indistinguishable as you're driving by, and you can fit much more density without going high, although I think going high is a solution also. I think in Holly Springs tonight, they're having a meeting to talk about a 7-story development for senior citizens being developed. So Houston is a great city. I like this quote. It's had rapid population growth and not sacrificing affordability. In 1998, mid-tier home prices in Houston were about the same as the national, whereas in LA, the metro homes were 76 above. Since then, Houston implemented a light touch density law authorizing much smaller lots in 1988. By 2023, homes in the Houston metro area were 13% below the national level, while Los Angeles had more than doubled to 160% of the national level. So very interesting statistic there. Programs from the government are going to have to be involved in assisting vital workers. How much time do I have? Oh, 1 minute. Offering interest rates. Cherokee County is currently less than 1 minute. I have one more slide. So Cherokee County is offering a down payment assistance program. I'm sure the other cities are also. At this current interest rate, that $12,500 lowers their mortgage payment by about $180 or allows them to buy a house for over 10% more. So government programs with that, requiring buildings to set aside some homes as attainable. Copy the Habitat for Humanity model as what they're building and how they're doing it. And bonds and subsidies, where a city or the county could create a bond that would allow teachers, nurses, firefighters, public servants to get lower interest rates. Right now, buying down the interest rate is going to create more affordability than trying to lower the price of houses with the high interest rates. And again, I'm Mike Stott. My email is mike.stott@mac.com. If you have any questions, I'll stick around for the question and answer afterwards, and I will send you these slides and have some cards. Thank you. And it's now time for a break. I'll save you 30 seconds. Break.